Jesus, I need help.
Oh, I wallbanged him through. I one tapped him through the barricade. Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Squills, and today I'm going to be talking about how to anchor. Now, I have been playing a support role in competitive Rainbow Six for a long time, probably too long. I've really never ever been a fragger or even a flex player. I've always been a smoke and thermite main, and so I think I have a pretty good range of experience when it comes to this, and I have to say that despite what a lot of people will tell you, anchoring is very difficult, and in some ways more difficult than roaming, mostly because your job is simple, but it's hard, because if the attackers get control of one spot in the objective site for enough time to plant, you've basically failed. It's not your goal is not arbitrary. You're not just trying to waste some time or get one kill. You have to keep the attackers out of sight. Okay, so I'm gonna get into this, and I'm gonna try to follow this chronologically, but there's a couple of big points that I want to make, and by chronologically I mean going through the round. So step one, making a plan. So planning where you want your utility to go, especially if you're like a smoke or something, planning where you want to make holes and lines of sight in the objective is really important. And not only just planning where your utility goes, but like thinking about where you want to go and how you want to position yourself throughout the round. Now, here's one of the ways that anchoring is easier than roaming. It's much easier to picture the possible ways that you might have to deal with a gunfight or deal with an attacker, because there's usually a limited number of ways that a team can viably push an objective site. So it's necessary to think beforehand how you're going to use your utility, how you're going to deal with different kinds of persons. So first example, if you're playing smoke on Cafe Kitchen, you have to know where you're going to play if the team does one of two things: pushes bakery or pushes freezer. And then you also have to keep in mind where you're going to go if the team starts breaching above, because obviously you can't really just sit in sight and peek through the floorboards with the SMG-11. You could, but it is very risky. So, if you know a team's going to push bakery, or if you anticipate a team pushing bakery, you have to keep the things in mind, like, if they push through prep, how are you going to deal with it? Can you smoke it? Are you going to have a shield on it? Are you going to have a way that you can smoke it safely? Maybe throwing it through the wall between sites. You'd have to open up lines of sight in there, and things like that. Thinking of things like that, like if a team pushes this side, how am I going to deal with it? And so if you think about this in advance, it's a lot easier. It's going to make your job a lot easier during the round, because now you don't really have to consider a lot of these things while the round's going on. You kind of have a predetermined plan, and that can allow you to focus on taking the gunfights that you need to, listening to your comms a lot more closely from your team, and really just being generally more aware of what's going on, and being able to respond better to that. And it'll help eliminate a lot of the stupid mistakes that are caused by being surprised by something or just kind of panicking in general. So another small tip, not every round will involve you sitting on site the entire round. So if you know that the enemy team is like better, like for example, if you've lost the first two defensive rounds, you're going 0-2. A lot of times it can be a good idea to play a little aggressive in the beginning of rounds. So something I always like to do when I'm on Clubhouse Basement, I always start the round at the bottom of main stairs. I don't want to push up. I'm not taking any gunfights into bar, bathroom, or the kitchen hallway. I'm just sitting on the landing of the stairs, and I'm just waiting. Now, if a team, does their due diligence and they drone me, great. I just shoot the drone, and I fall back down the stairs, and really nothing ever happens to me. But if the other team gets sloppy, maybe they don't drone it, maybe they rush, maybe they just send their Ash player straight down the main stairs, and you've just gotten yourself a free pick, and now the round looks much more likely for you to win it. And really the idea here is you're not going to sit there and look for a kill. You're not going to sit there and look for a drone. You just want to get your life out. That's the main goal, is whatever happens on the main stairs, you want to survive it. So if you think about it like that, a lot of times you can just get these little small gifts, like they just give you a drone for free, and you shoot it and you fall back, and you just get these little small advantages that can keep piling up, especially if you're roamers. Shoot some extra drones. Now the other enemy team doesn't have that many drones, and they're going to be hurting for the rest of the round. They won't have enough intel. So keep in mind things like that. You don't have to sit from the beginning of the round, cornered up in the objective. You can get a little bit aggressive, push out a little bit more here and there to try to gather some extra drones and some extra intel from the attackers that could come back and hurt them in the end of the round. Alright, so here's the big point that I want to make, and it's something that I call round dynamics. Now, I don't know why I call it that, it's a bit weird, but I'm going to explain it right here. Basically, round dynamics, what I think of it as, is like the big picture summary kind of how the round is flowing. So 3 things you need to keep in mind. What's the man count on each side? What map control do the attackers have? And how much time is left? So kind of the overall feeling of how the round is flowing, what the attackers are taking, when they're taking it, and how much time they have left, and then also if you have man advantage or not. So, pretty much you will be able to tell who has the advantage pretty easily, especially once you get a little bit of experience in the game. But to kind of explain what I'm talking about here, I'm just going to give an example. So let's say you're defending Oregon Basement, you're playing Maestro, and there's 1 minute and 30 seconds left, so half the round has transpired. Let's say the attackers in this area have full bunker control, you've reinforced off elbow, and they won't really get elbow wall, but maybe if they got a Twitch drone and they could. So they have full bunker control, full pillar control, and you are in a man disadvantage. You have 3 people alive, they have 4 people alive. Now, based on this, who do you think has the advantage? I would say it's pretty simple. The attackers definitely have the advantage. They have half the round left to work with. They've got all the control that they need to go for an execute. They have bunker control, pillar control, E-box control. You have to imagine that they've cleared above. Maybe they have E-box hatch open. They have their flank drones in place. This is a really good situation. All they have to do is maybe open up single wall if they'd like and go for a plant supply door, or they could go the extra mile and see if they could push someone down freezer to hold a really dangerous cross through laundry. All of these are possible options that would be really, really dangerous for the defenders, but that doesn't even matter. If you let the round transpire, if you were just, as a Maestro, to sit in sight and say, hey, I'm an anchor, I just have to stop them from getting in sight, you're going to lose the round. Because if the attackers do even half of the things that they could do to try to win the round, you're probably going to lose. You know, they smoke off the plant, they get it down, and, you know, none of your team has any utility to deny the plant, you lose the round. So things like that, if, you know, they just flood and rush into sight, not everybody's watching everything at every moment, you're probably going to lose the round. So in cases like these, you have to understand the concept of working a pick. Now, working a pick is trying to make a play that will kind of even out the advantage of the round. And that will kind of allow you to just play out the rest of the round normally, playing passive, playing for your utility, and actually win the round. Because in the current situation, in our little hypothetical situation, if you just let the rest of the round play out, you're going to lose. So by working a pick, let's just say as a Maestro, you push up through the site and you take a peek and you swing E-box, right? Like you just try to pick off somebody who's playing in E-box or sitting in pillar, and you win that gunfight. Now you just sprint back, go back to the rotate, go play closet, something like that. Now the man count is 3v3. Maybe the attackers have to take some time. They re-drone that position that you were just playing. Maybe you shoot an extra drone on the way out, or something like that. Now maybe there's a minute left. You're in a 3v3. And, you know, now you kind of have the advantage. Because now if you just play out your utility better, there's not as many attackers that are going to be available to make this execute. And you've just kind of almost won the round, or at least evened it out. So things like that, don't wait. If you're in a very significant disadvantage as an anchor, it is your job to make a play, because if you don't make that play and the attackers just do what they're supposed to do, you're going to lose anyway. So it is a very risky play, and you know, there's a lot of ways you can do it based on the situation, but you have to take the smartest gunfight you can that either catches the attackers off guard or basically just allows you to take a gunfight and get a free kill to even out the advantage. And knowing when to do this and how to do this is, you know, a skill that you have to build, but just becoming aware of when it's a smart idea to try to work a pick is a really good and important skill that that anchors need to have. So on the other side of that, you know, when you don't have to work a pick, you have to have the discipline to know that when you have the advantage, let's say it's a 4v3 on Oregon Basement, you know, same situation, but you have the man advantage, and there's only a minute left. Now, you know, you don't have to do anything. You could just sit in closet. You could just have your freezer player sit behind the middle box, play passive. Somebody just sitting in laundry, not watching the hallway, and the last player, like, it doesn't really matter. But as long as you're not peeking anything, as long as you're not getting aggressive, what are the attackers gonna do? I mean, one might say, hey, you're just letting them walk in sight. Okay, what happens when they walk in sight? It's a 4v3 in your favor. If they start trying to get diffuser down, you now have one person that's vulnerable trying to plant, another person possibly in a vulnerable situation with 2 or 3 angles to watch trying to cover the plant, and the last guy, it doesn't even really matter what they're doing because you have 4 people. You could just start double swinging everything. You could have multiple people push multiple angles at once, and you will just kill the attackers. I mean, even if they're getting 1 kill before they're dying, you're just playing for trades. And a lot of times this is how you just overwhelm attackers at the end of the round. And if you're just peeking the attackers, giving them free 1v1 gunfights, this is how you allow them to work picks and to give themselves, an even advantage, or even out the advantage of the round. So you have to have the discipline to know when you shouldn't peek and when you shouldn't be getting aggressive, when you should just wait for the attackers to make the play and then collapse in on them and win the round. So those are the 2 biggest concepts that I wanted to talk about in this video. And so now, one more thing is just to communicate effectively, especially when you're getting late in the round and the execute is coming in. You have to set up crossfires. Crossfires are super, super important. And also, you have to communicate what you're watching so that you know that there's no holes in your defense, right? If 2 people are watching 1 door, another guy's watching a 3rd door, and then maybe there's another door or wall open to the site that nobody's watching, this is how you just kind of get surprised. One person gets caught off guard. Now the other 2 people have to look at the 3rd entrance to the site that no one was watching, and now the attackers can push from either of the doors that the 2 people were watching. And you can kind of see what I'm saying here. One person sneaking in through an entrance that nobody's watching can completely destroy your site hold. And so if you have a situation like that, you have to make sure that not only you have crossfires in place to make sure that attackers can't just brute force their way in through one entrance, but you also have to be coordinated so that there's no way for the attackers to just sneak into sight. Whether that be, hey, there's barbed wire on this door, be ready to swing on it. If you hear the barbed wire, I'm watching this door, you can watch it from this angle so that we have a crossfire. Or things like, play off my contact, or I'll play off your contact. So that means as soon as you see, an attacker shooting at your teammate, or as soon as your teammate either dying to that person or, even killing them, that you are able to swing and either get their trade if they die or assist them in winning that gunfight so that you don't let the attackers get picks for free. Alright, that is pretty much it for this video, guys. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something about anchoring. If you guys, maybe you're like a roamer or a frag player, everybody should try anchoring and try playing like a support op every once in a while, even if you have some crazy aim and all your buddies want you to play the Jaeger or play a Melusi or an Aruni or some kind of roaming op. It is always a good idea to learn all the rules, because anchoring especially will teach you some really valuable things, and it'll teach you like the patience and discipline that a lot of people lack, especially in the lower ranks. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.